The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022 Genesis Invitational Picks. Quick preview and research for the event. You want to play in the best tournament on DraftKings? Easy. The Pat Mayo Experience Rake-Free Listeners League is now open. Link is in the description. It filled very quickly last week. We're up to 3,500 spots. You can have up to 3 entries. And again, there's no rake. That's down available in the description, as is the link to the Mayo Media newsletter. I highly suggest that you go sub to that right now. It's completely free to use, and it will have additional research, and that's where all the picks, finalized picks for the week, cheat sheets. If you ever miss anything, you can always check in on the newsletter to go find that. Remember to smash the like for the episode. In the comment section, give me your early lean and sub to Mayo Media Network on YouTube, or subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, wherever you happen to listen to download podcasts. You can do that for the Pat Mayo Experience. Give us a 5-star rating while you're up there as well. My entire walkthrough today is going to be provided by FantasyNational.com. FantasyNational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off any level of membership, the weekly, the monthly, the annual, all 20% off with FantasyNational.com/Mayo. So here's what we're dealing with at Riviera Country Club this week. It's the final edition of the West Coast Swing on the PGA Tour. And if you want to know what major season is going to look like in 2022, this tournament is going to give you a pretty good idea. Obviously, we know that Tiger is the host of this course. And since Tiger has become the host of the Genesis Invitational, one, it's changed from an open to an invitational, thus lending it more prestige. That means you get a 3-year exemption on the PGA Tour. If you end up winning, it means the field is more condensed. So instead of having 144 or 156 players, there's only 120 players in this field, which means that at least 54% of the field is going to play through to the weekend. Now, you might think that means, Boku 6 of 6 lineups for everyone on DraftKings. I mean, theoretically, yes. You have a better chance of having a 6 of 6 lineup than most weeks here, but it just takes one chalk guy to miss the cut. Then all of a sudden, everyone's below 5%, almost like they are every single week. But this field is absolutely loaded. When I say it's an indication of major season, this is really what I'm talking about here. Each of the top 10 players in the world rankings will be in the field in Los Angeles. Also of note, this is hosting the 2026 U.S. Women's Open and will be the host site for the Olympic Games in 2028. And we all know how fun it is to watch Riviera on TV. It is just astonishing. All the different elevation changes that go through it, all the dead looking trees on the course, the really cool shape of holes. It's an awesome TV experience. Hopefully CBS doesn't screw this up in terms of the broadcast, but I got to give a continued shout out to ESPN Plus for their early round coverage, early before the main coverage starts. It's been really good. It wasn't great for Phoenix on Thursday, where essentially their main feed was just the featured groups. I could have watched that anyway on the featured group channel, but we're getting better each and every week. So shout out to ESPN Plus. More coverage is the better for all of us out there right now. If you're in the rest of the world, Canada or wherever, you can go to golf.tv and get that same subscription, and you can watch golf at any time during the round that you want. It's pretty good. So again, top 10 players in the world are all here, and the guys that aren't playing, who are inside the top 20, are all injured players. Daniel Berger is not playing. Obviously, he missed the cut in Phoenix, had withdrawn the week before from Pebble after sustaining a back injury at Torrey Pines. That is, he's going to get healthy. He wants to play in the Masters. He does better on the Florida swing anyway. Get yourself healthy, big Danny B. Get that back all primed up. Take some Robaxacet, and you'll be good to go, but he is not playing this week. Bryson is not playing Riviera for the first time in ages. He tends to do very well at this course, but he hurt himself over in Saudi Arabia after he slipped, took meetings and slipped, but he's not playing this week, nor is Harris English, who's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time. He's decided to finally go get hip surgery, I believe, hence why he was struggling so much. But everyone else, realistically, is here. We're even getting back some players that we have not seen in either a while or yet this season on the PGA Tour. Colin Morikawa is back for the first time since the century. Tournament of Champions. He did go over to the Middle East and play. He was T62, T18 between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Rory McIlroy, someone who plays Riviera every single season, will be in the field. Had a pretty good swing, disappointing swing over in the Middle East to open his year. He's yet to play in the United States in 2022. Rory was T12 and third, although he should have been a win in Dubai, but he faltered on number 18. Then Bland and Vic went to a playoff, and all of a sudden Vic is your champion over in Dubai. I did not play in Saudi Arabia, by the way. Neither one of them played in Saudi Arabia. So they've had some time off to get back and reallocated to the time zones on the Pacific time zone back in America right now. The other guys who are making their debuts, Paul Casey and Sergio Garcia, both making their 2022 PGA debuts for the year. They're both, they're plenty familiar with Riviera. They play this almost every single season. Let's see. Sergio played 3 times over in the Middle East, never fell outside the top 25. Casey went T16, T12, T24. He played in Malaysia, then he played in Dubai, and then he played in Saudi Arabia. So both those guys finished inside the top 25 overseas in each round that they played. Thomas Pieters is back at Riviera for the first time since 2018. He's won 2 of his past 5 starts worldwide, one in Abu Dhabi. Then we bet him to win the Masters at 125 to 1 because we were too fired up for Thomas Pieters, although he's had some success at this tournament. Only played it twice. Came T2 in 2017. Then he came T62 or T68, sorry, in 2018. But that year that he came second at this course was the year that he came tied for 4th at Augusta National. And realistically, this is the most consistent golf the Belgian has played since 2017. So put Thomas Pieters on your radar. I'm sure anyone who's in the know is already going to be on Thomas Pieters. But if you're not in the know, now you are. Thomas Pieters. Good look here for him at Riviera this week. Other guys, Bobby Mack is going over. Robert McIntyre, the Scot. He's actually playing right now over on the DP World Tour. He's played a bunch so far, struggled to start the season, and that tournament is not yet concluded. They're through 3 rounds over in whatever the hell the name of that tournament is, where they played back-to-back weeks now on the DP World Tour. But he was T12 a week ago, and he's currently inside the top 10 with a chance to win going into Sunday overseas. And I really think this sets up well for Robert McIntyre if he can find his game right now. We've seen historically left-handers do really well at Riviera, especially left-handers who do really well at Augusta National at the same time. Let's see. Bubba Watson has won this tournament 3 times. He has won at Augusta National twice. Phil Mickelson has won 2 or 3 Masters. 2? 3 Masters? Whatever it is. He's won twice at Riviera as well. Mike Weir has won a Masters. He's won twice at Riviera in his career. Robert McIntyre has not played this course ever, so I mean, you really need to understand these green complexes to really have a good run at it, but it wouldn't be crazy to see him have a really high-end finish. He bombs it off the tee. He is perfectly set up for this course, and in his Masters debut a year ago, ended up coming T12. He wasn't the low debutant because Zalatoris came in second. Still, I still think it's a nice showing and a good spot for Robert McIntyre. He's going to be long odds. He's going to be cheap this week. I don't know if I'll bet him to win, but top 5, top 10, that kind of thing, and if he's below like $7,000 on DraftKings, probably the way that you want to go. So those are the guys really making their debuts. You're familiar with everyone else who's been playing regularly on the PGA Tour. This will mark Dustin's 2nd start on the PGA Tour. He played Torrey Pines and he played Saudi Arabia, and now he's back to play Riviera, where he was the champion in 2017. More about this course, and more about the field and the course history that we've seen. Max Homa obviously won last year. Maximum Homa even being lodged up against that tree in the playoff after missing the 2-footer on the 72nd hole to force to go to a playoff. Beat Tony Finau. And that just is another notch in the belt of guys that have won at Quail Hollow, also win at Riviera. Max Homa has now won at both. JB Holmes has now won at both. Who's the other guy? Oh, yeah, James Hahn has won at both. Now, normally I wouldn't put too much stock into, oh, this guy's won here. Oh, Rory and Tiger and whoever have won here. No. We got James Hahn. We got Max Homa and JB Holmes have all won at the same 2 courses. There is a corollary between those 2. So do some Quail Hollow research if you want to get in the know of some potential sleepers that we might end up seeing. Phil's made some good runs there as well. Obviously, Ricky and Rory have both won there, have played well at Riviera over the years, although they've never closed out anything in the past. So you can go kind of take a look at that. It doesn't necessarily mean that one guy who plays Quail Hollow really well is most definitely going to play at Riviera really well, but I think for long shot purposes, it's not a terrible angle to take. Obviously, Augusta National, Yeah, Augusta National for left-handers, I most definitely think is a real thing between this course and that course. But at the same time, both these fields have been relatively top-heavy. A lot of elite players between, and when you look at this field, and all top 10 players in the field are playing, in the world are playing at Riviera, obviously they're going to play at Augusta National too, and great players tend to win. So it's hard to comp too much to Augusta National, but I will say lag putting most definitely means a lot at both those courses, and around the green game really means a lot at both those courses. Being able to judge the speeds of these greens, this is very, very, very fast Poa greens, Kikuyu grass, and don't be afraid for the CBS broadcast. Actually, do be afraid to play the Kikuyu drinking game because you're going to hear it 3,000 times over the weekend. Oh, he's in that Kikuyu rough. You're not going to get a consistent lie over there, Jim. Oh, Nick, no, you're not. Kikuyu grass, fun times. Oh, God. I hope this broadcast is better than that year Adam Scott one, which was really like when the public turned on how crappy broadcasts were on CBS. They have been improved since then, by the way. So the past winners, Max Homa -12, Adam Scott -11, JB Holmes -14, Bubba Watson -12, Dustin -17, Bubba Watson -16, James Hahn -6. That was a rain-logged year. He beat DJ and Casey in a playoff that year. And Bubba Watson -15. That goes all the way back to -14. Basically, if you can get yourself to -15, take it. You're probably going to end up winning. We've seen it go over that, but this course has teeth. It is difficult. It is long. And let's jump over to fantasynational.com. And if you go to fantasynational.com/Mayo, once again, you will get 20% off. Let's load up that Genesis field right now and see what we got going on here. We'll go to tournament history and go to last year. You really do want to have an overall tee to green game with distance at this course, because we kind of dig into everything. You're going to see that although it doesn't look huge on the scorecard in terms of length, there's a lot of hidden distance at this course. So you can see Homa did it, the way that you want to do it, gaining in all four facets of tee to green and on the greens. Like everyone besides, Rom bleeding strokes in Phoenix, Rom bleeding strokes here last year. It's just so funny how Rom can not play his best and still compete and be in the mix with some of the best players in the world. Also last year, I had Cam Smith on a big outright. Obviously, he could not close. Had some nice runs. Another guy who plays Augusta National really well, by the way. Just couldn't putt in the final round. It was infuriating. Sam Burns was the leader going into the back nine. Could not close it out, Sammy. I think he put it out of bounds on 11 or 12, and that was the end of old Sammy Burns. He's a much better player this time around, coming off a miscut at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, or the WM Phoenix Open. We'll get into the miscut stats a little bit later on in the show. You can jump to that if you want, or you can just log on to Fantasy National and go research that for yourself. Will Zalatoris in his debut, T15. Zalatoris is coming off of COVID right now, forced him to pull out a pebble. And Phoenix, he should be in the field for the Genesis. I don't know how COVID is going to impact him, but as we've seen with Zalatoris so far, these big greens, fast greens, long courses, he tends to play really, really, really well. We can go take a deeper dive into Zalatoris here, and we can see in his debut at this course ends up coming top 15. So we can take a look at the Genesis. No, it wasn't his debut. He played it in 2015. That was a while ago. Did gain strokes on approach, though. Geez, he must have been, 19 at the time? Maybe even younger? Either way. 15th at the Genesis, did not gain off the tee, which is not something that normally plagues old Willie Z. Very rarely does he lose strokes off the tee. So if he can improve there, continue the putting, he's going to be pretty good. Lost in a playoff of the Farmers, T6 at Amex. But let's just kind of take a scroll here. He missed the cut at the U.S. Open. Hurt himself at the Open Championship and was forced to withdraw. TPC South win, very long for the WGC, ended up coming 8th. PGA Championship ended up coming 8th. Not good that he missed the Wells Fargo. Let's go look at the Wells Fargo too. Now that I mentioned that is a crossover. The Masters, 2nd. API, long, hard, fast. Difficult course, tied for 10th. Genesis 15th, Farmers top 10 the year before. So he has a good track record so far in his young PGA career of playing these long, fast, firm courses. Really good. Ones with big greens, tough green complexes that you're going to have to leg putt at. And listen, he's not a good putter from inside of 3 feet, but this is the most difficult course on tour to putt from, inside 5 feet. A lot of 3 putts at this course, but he's a very good lag putter. We saw that even during his putting struggles at Torrey Pines. He was 60 feet away. He'd put it to 3 feet. It was the 3-footer that you were sweating the entire time. So here's what happened at the Wells Fargo. last season, Rory won, took that well-timed drop, if we remember. Oh, there's the Mexican Allen Iverson for you right there. Abraham Ansel came in second place. Keith Mitchell, Luke List ended up popping up there. Don't overlook Luke List next week at Riviera as well. Obviously, he's playing the best golf of his career right now. Could be a time to hop back on Aaron Wise, although he looked broken in Phoenix. We'll see how that can come through. Kadira played well. Schwartzel, someone who's had success at Riviera in the past. We're still not getting Tommy. Tommy boy. Where are you, Tommy boy? He's playing actually pretty well overseas, so I don't want to say too much. Maybe he is here? Nah, Tommy's not here. Tommy, we'll see. Tommy generally plays Honda and Bay Hill before the players, so that's probably what he's waiting out for. There's not too many guys that haven't made their debut yet on the PGA Tour, though. Neiman, T18. Damon's another guy who's had a pretty good run at Riviera in the past. He lost, I think he was T2 or T3 in that Adam Scott year. Who else? Cam Davis. Maybe we can go back to him. Actually close with a pretty decent round after a horrendous round to open in Phoenix. So we can just go back through the years. Obviously, if you go over to the left-hand side of Fantasy National and you just scroll down to Quail Hollow, you don't want to use the PGA Championship year for Quail Hollow because those are different conditions. You see there are two. One is pre-renovation, one is post-renovation. You can just couple those together if you want. You hold down Command on your computer and boom. You can go Quail Hollow Golf Club. We can just highlight both those right now. We can look at our average per round, and we can see strokes gained total. Vic in only 4 rounds. Rory, Aaron Wise, Matt Wallace, Sergio, another guy who's played well at Riviera over the years. Damon and Casey and Fowler, all good Riviera players. Watney, that's taken some from a while back. Answer, the Gucci Man. Patrick Rogers, another California guy. Maybe it is time to go to Patrick Rogers this time around. And this is just the players that are in the field this week. Luke List in 18 rounds and 1.2 strokes gained total. Molinari, Pat Perez, Justin Thomas, who gagged away that year at Riviera to JB Holmes, is another one that you can probably consider as a part of that list as well. So you can even, if you're trying to find sleepers for the week, this is probably a good way to go do it. I probably wouldn't want Watney. Like Spawn is somewhat intriguing. Patrick Rogers, like I mentioned. I mean, Seamus Powers played Quail Hollow really well in his career. So maybe it's time to get back on Seamus Power. He missed the cut on the number in Phoenix. So not the end of the world for a lot of these guys. And somewhat intriguing stuff here. If you kind of just scroll through the list to see who's played well, if you're searching for sleepers. I wouldn't say that like, they need to play well at Quail Hollow in order to play well at Riviera. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that maybe you can find someone down in the mix, some sleeper that no one else has. That's how you end up winning these things on DraftKings, or maybe potentially hitting like a 200-1 winner. That's what I'm saying here. We've seen some long shots. James Hahn and JB Holmes were well beyond 100-1 when they won. Max Homa, I think, was 80-1 a year ago. So it's not inconceivable, despite this being a very top-heavy field and a very difficult course. It says that T. Gall's in the field right now. He is not necessarily in the field. He would need to win in Phoenix in order for that to happen. And I have no idea what has happened in Phoenix because I am recording this before the final round. Let's jump into the core. Actually, we can go back to the leaderboard one more time from last year. Right there. We can see who led an approach. Let's see. Tringali Morikawa, Sam Burns, Tony Finau, CT Pan. So hopefully Colin Morikawa has learned something about these greens because the ball striking was elite, like it is every week. Minus 7.6 strokes lost putting on the greens. This actually turned out to be a huge benefit to us because we cashed him as a winner the following week at 40-1. Like, this result sewered his odds. They're like, Morikawa can't putt. But yeah, when Morikawa does putt, he wins. And that's what he did at concession for us. So shout out Colin Morikawa. I'm going to guess the odds at the end. I have no idea what they're going to do with Morikawa. For whatever reason, despite being a top 5 player in the world, he is the one guy whose odds he's so out of people's minds at the moment. Like Vic, anytime Vic does something well, he skyrockets up to like 12-1. And Morikawa only gets that treatment when he's coming off like a major win. He has 2 of them, by the way. So I wouldn't be super stunned to catch a 20 on Morikawa. Maybe that's wishful thinking because I thought the same thing about Thomas this week in Phoenix, and it just did not happen. But with the quality of this field, if the books don't think they're going to take Morikawa money, let's take money from the books by betting Colin Morikawa. Essentially, anytime he's 20-1 or over, he's in that territory of a must bet at this point. Dustin didn't really putt at all last year. I really like Dustin this week. I'm wondering how popular he's going to be. He's another one. If he's somehow beyond 20-1, which I doubt, because he has the course history here. He's been immaculate at Riviera over the years. A great way to go at it. Even James Hahn played well here last year. CT Pan, he was another one who popped up on that Quail Hollow list. Finau is going to be an interesting case study. Once we jump into the numbers a little bit from Phoenix, maybe Finau found something in that second round. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time someone's done that in Phoenix. I remember that's how I hit a Mickelson winner at Pebble Beach 3-4 years ago now, is that he had this horrendous first round in Phoenix, place where he typically plays well. But then I sorted by round 2 stats, and Phil actually led the field in ball striking. He just couldn't make a putt the entire day. So I was like, oh man, they're going to give us Phil at a pretty good price. The ball striking is pretty good. Obviously, that's not the end-all be-all indicator of what's going on, but it presented some hidden value, I thought at least, and he ended up winning. So I got lucky that he ended up winning, but at the same time, there were underlying numbers for it. I remember that was the same as Kuchar at the Sony a few years back. Had really good underlying numbers in the final 2 rounds at the Century Tournament of Champions, despite not having a good finish. Then all of a sudden, boom, we pop him at the Sony Open. It's 60-1. It was fantastic news. So let's go back to the field here and talk about the course as a whole. Click on the course breakdown, and what you'll see from Riviera CC, that would be Country Club. It's a par 71, 7,322 yards, Poa Greens grass. And when I talked about the hidden distance in this course, this is what I'm talking about. So let's click on yardage here. You have this really short par 3, 166 yards. You obviously have the famous number 10, my favorite short par 4 in golf, 315 yards. So that's taking away a lot right away. And then look at these par 5s. You have almost a 500-yard par 5, the hole that generates the second most eagles on the PGA Tour. So a 500-yard par 5, that's taken away a lot of distance. 583, 590, no, although they play a little bit longer because of elevation. So they play, number 11 and number 17 do play longer than the scorecard suggests. None of them are over 600 yards. That leaves you with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 5 might get pushed to being over 450 yards this week. Those are all difficult. As you can see, they all the par 4s on this course outside of number 10 all play above par. And once we start getting down the list here, it's getting pretty tricky as we're going through it. You have all of the hardest holes are these long par 4s. So you're going to see a gigantic amount of shots that come in from beyond 150 yards, but primarily 175 and 200. You can get away with shorter hitters at this course if they are immaculate with their long irons, like how Molinari used to be or how Tom Hoagie is at the moment. Those types of players have a shot at this course. Damon is another one who's proven himself to be able to do that in the past. However, it's just much easier when you bomb the ball because you just have shorter approach shots. And it's not like people hit the fairway here. It's one of the lowest fairways hit, 55% versus the tour average of 62%. You have to be able to play out of this rough. Hopefully the Kikuya doesn't eat up your club. But man, Bubba Watson never hits a fairway here, and he's been fine over the years. Green and regulation percentage really down as well, 58%. Green and regulation rate down from almost 70% at the tour average. So the around the green game is going to come into play. As you can see here, it looks like approach means more, which it does. But almost like Phoenix last week, it's a lot flatter than you'd expect, especially when you move up the board. Let's take a look at the top 5 finishers historically. Like approach, yes, it's worth just about double, just a little bit more than double than off the tee and around the green. But when you see around the green come up that highly, yeah, you can't be a terrible short game player. Like, shout out to my guy, Corey Connors. I don't know if you fixed your around the green game. And it's funny that you really need to understand these green complexes, because just looking at how this would play out and trying to predict who would do well, you would never, ever stumble onto Bubba Watson when it came down to looking at having to be good around the greens, because he is not good around the greens. Just take a look at what he's doing in Phoenix. Horrible around the greens. Really good at everything else. We're going to be betting Bubba, obviously, because we do every year at this tournament, and it's paid off over the years. Either way, he understands these green complexes, much like he understands the green complexes at Augusta National. And the one sneaky thing about Bubba is that he's a very good leg putter. A lot like Zalatoris. Horrendous within 5 feet. Very good from like 65 feet to get it in that 5-foot window. Then you just pray it's one of those weeks where he actually makes the putts and you're good to go. But for whatever reason, he's figured out these green complexes. So I do like Bubba. Once again, you can see the whole compositions. You have 6, maybe 7 once the final scorecard is released, down to 400 to 450 yards. Those are tough holes. And again, a lot of them are uphill, elevation changes. You really kind of have to cross off guys that are crappy around the greens. So let's look into what stats actually matter this week. I'll load up my saved custom model. Maybe we make some adjustments to it. I have not brought it up. Where's the Riv? The Riv. See, Quail Hollow needs fixing. Riviera's been pretty good in the past. Strokes gained ball striking. That is the combination of tee, off the tee, and approach. I have approach at 10%, around the green at 10%, 450 to 500 yard par fours, 10%, driving distance, 15%. I have opportunities gained in the model at 0%, but I do want to see it on the screen just so I can see who's trending up highly, and that's a good tiebreaker for me. I don't want it to influence the rankings that I come up with, but I do want to see it at the same time, because I mean, if a lot of the shots are from 175 plus or 150 plus, it's really tough to stick it within 15 feet of the pin, to be perfectly honest with you. But I want to see who's hot from in close as well, because those could be recovery shots, those could be anything. I have 150 to 175, 175 to 200, and 200 plus, all weighted at 5%, putting in at 5%. What I'm going to do is scale back ball striking to 30% and enhance around the green up to 15%, because I don't want that to come back to bite me. So we're going to load it in for the past 50 rounds on fantasynational.com. Obviously, you can make your own adjustments, do your own research, fantasynational.com/Mayo for 20% off. Additionally, if you're listening to this show before the Super Bowl has started, if you use code MMNNFL at prizepicks.com and you make any entry for the Super Bowl, that is $5 or more, and then Joe Burrow throws for more than 1 yard in the game, doesn't even have to use Joe Burrow in the entry that you want to do. They'll just give you $100. So you can go deposit $5 at prizepicks.com right now with code MMNNFL. Use that $5 to make one Super Bowl entry, and then they'll just give you $100. It is the easiest risk-free $95 that you'll ever get. And then you can come back, because I've been doing more Prize Picks for golf. I know Rick Gaiman has been doing a ton of Prize Picks for golf. So prizepicks.com, code MMNNFL. If you missed out on the Super Bowl, if you just use code MMN regularly, they'll give you a deposit match up to $100. If you want that too. So you deposit 100, you get 100, and you're off to the races. So let's see. I bet your Rom rates out pretty well, like every week. Past 50 rounds, the rankings go as such. Rom, List, Thomas, Rory, Casey, Cantlay, Zalatoris, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, and Victor Hovland. Then you get Sungjae Morikawa, the Gucci Man, Scheffler, Power, Xander, Vegas, Finau, Mav McNeely, who did withdraw in Phoenix, although he should return for this week, and Sammy Burns. Thomas Peters, and this doesn't include any European stats or international stats. This is just shot link data from the PGA Tour. So like Mayakoba isn't in here either, which is good for Vic, because I mean, he's won. None of his stuff is included from his 3 wins in his past 6 starts. So good news for Vic that he was trending well before that anyway. You have Peters up there. Poor Mito missed the cut on the number, did not come through for us. On Monday morning, the stats from Phoenix will be loaded into this as well, so the numbers will change a little bit. Matt Wallace. Okay, let's take a dive into Matt Wallace and see what we're saying here with Matty Wallace. I know Neiman played pretty well at Torrey Pines. HV3, poor HV3 was leading this in the Adam Scott year 2 years ago, then duffed it off the tee on number 10, and that was the end of him. Maybe it's a revenge scenario for Harold Varner III. He obviously won in Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago, had a very poor first round in Phoenix, was okay in the second round in Phoenix. So there's someone we could potentially look at. Anyone else? Kokrak is back. I mean, Kokrak made a nice run here the year that, who the hell won that year? I had bet Rory, Bubba, and Charles. Bubba won. It was 2016 or 2018. Let's see, Genesis. Yeah, 2016, he came in second place. Has a pretty good track record at this course over the year. Was horrendous around the green and approach last year, but gained it all on the greens. Wouldn't expect that, although he does have 2 performances over with 5 strokes game putting. But although you've only ever seen it materialize once, where he had that amazing, immaculate ball striking year to pair with it. Everything else off the tee has always been good. The approach has been very hit or miss for Jason. Snorting the coke rack. And I don't really even recall how he did in Saudi Arabia, but he was pretty good last time out at Sony, although that's a shorter course. We've seen him play well at, listen, he has a win in Houston. That was a longer course. He has a win at the Charles Schwab. That's a really short course. So every time that he putts, he has some good spike putting performances. Maybe this is another year where we can go back to him. Let's take a look at Neiman and see how he's done at Genesis. Never better than 43, but has made 2 of 3 cuts in his career. Played it each of the past 3 years. Was awesome at the South Course at Torrey Pines in his first start of 2022, and then went overseas to Saudi Arabia and ended up playing pretty well over there too. So maybe Neiman at a discount price. I don't think that he's going to be, unknown coming into the event, but at the same time, he's someone we can look at. Matt Wallace, somewhat interesting here. Not sure how he's doing in Phoenix. He probably missed the cut, to be perfectly honest with you. But you can see some of the good performances that he's had. Wells Fargo is one of them. I mentioned Arnold Palmer Invitational. Pretty good at the Masters. I mean, just don't lose all your strokes on the green, and you should be fine, Matt Wallace. Was not good at the RSM, but he's played some of these longer courses a lot better than you would expect. Pretty good around the greens as well, historically. So Matt Wallace is someone that I can potentially look at. Memorial, another long, fast, hard track. I did it around the green and on the greens that week. But either way, good at the API. Once again, we'll see how he's played Genesis. I don't know if he's ever played here. He has not played this course, but he's going to be like $6,400 on DraftKings. So maybe someone to potentially go look at down there as well. Let's see the players over the past 50 rounds who have played really well on par 4s from 450 to 500 yards. Cantlay, someone who's like a course for the horse for Genesis, although this will be his 3rd week in a row. It's nice to see that he's overcome those back problems that plagued him earlier on after his accident. And for a while on the PGA Tour, he would never play in back-to-back weeks. It's encouraging for him and his outlook going forward to see him play back-to-back weeks. And obviously he's playing well in Phoenix, played well at Pebble Beach. Patrick Cantlay was the player of the year last year and played well 3 consecutive weeks through the FedEx Cup playoffs. So I'm not worried about him this time around. So we'll see how he does. He's the best player there. So you got Cantlay, Rory Morikawa, Dustin, Adam Scott, former winner. Answer is number 6. He was the one who spiked a 2nd place finish at Quail Hollow a year ago. JT M. Bubba Grillo. Matt Wallace, there we are once again, number 11 on holes from that range. Perez is up there. No idea how Perez has played this over the course of his career. Zalatoris, Damon. I'm kind of digging Seamus Power. This would be a big step up in quality for Seamus Power, and I think that after what happened at Pebble Beach, and then what happened when people went back to him in Phoenix at an elevated price and he missed the cut on the number, that the shine might be off. Might be off of old Seamus Power. After back-to-back top 10s for Perez, he missed the cut. I don't know why I put in Riv. Genesis. All right, so Perez plays this basically every year. Best finish was 13th in 2012. Kind of hit or miss. Never really chipped or putted all that well outside of 1 year at the Genesis Invitational. So let's go back to the drawing board with him. Seamus Power. Obviously a missed cut, but was a top 20 machine before that. Played in 2019. Had a horrendous weekend, as it turns out. T64 for him. Not afraid of Seamus Power, though. I'm going to put him on a short list. Maybe a good first-round leader type play. Zalatoris is going to be the really interesting one, because obviously the numbers love him. Obviously, he's been running really hot, played well at this course, and like I kind of pointed out to you, that he plays really well at this type of course. How much is COVID going to affect him? We've seen some guys come back after 2 weeks. They are completely fine. We've seen other guys in all sports, probably golf a little bit less because it's using less of your cardio, but some guys have been severely impacted and are that way for 2-3 weeks, a month after the fact until they get back to full, complete health. So I'd be willing to risk it. I'm more willing to risk it on Zalatoris than I was on Berger and his back problem this week. Put it that way. So I would expect to have Zalatoris in my lineups. I hope that it's all going to be price dependent on him on DraftKings, but I think we get a pretty good number on him to open to win this tournament, and it'd be nice. It'd be nice for Will Z after dropping the playoff and costing everyone outright tickets who didn't have Luke List at the same time. What else do we have here? Best players from beyond 200 yards. Let's see if we can line them up on the screen here. Zalatoris first from 200 yards and beyond, 11th from 175 to 200. He's only 94th, and he has that extra distance now because obviously his putter is a little bit, or his driver is a lot longer, so maybe he takes more shots from the 150 to 175 bucket because that driving distance is up. 11th in the field in driving distance. Rahm is another one who's great in both. Casey's great in both. Sung Jae is great from beyond 200 yards, gets progressively worse until you get back into wedge range. Hovland, 6th and 9th from both those key ranges. EVR, Eric Van Rooyen, 8th and 5th on these long approaches. Let's take a look at EVR. I believe he was overseas as well. Take a look at old Eric Van Rooyen. up to number 63 in the world. South African. I mean, South Africans are very familiar with kikuyu grass. At the same time, in Dubai, he was 4th. In Abu Dhabi, he was 12th. He was 20th at Sony, 25th at the Century Tournament of Champions. So he's playing some pretty good golf right now. No idea what his history is at the Genesis. Let's see. Missed the cut in one go. That was in 2020, so 2 years ago. Couldn't really putt. I don't know. See, his around the green has been horrendous, so that's not good. It's funny because I always imagined him as being a better around the green player than he actually is, because he's truly disastrous around the green. When you go look at the numbers over the past 50 rounds, he is 42nd in putting, but 110th around the greens and 93rd in the key par 4 range. So not great, but again, price sensitivity plays a lot into this. I mean, a value becomes a value at some point. There's a reason that guys are priced in the 6,000 or beyond 200-1. They have glaring deficiencies, but great putting can overcome poor chipping any day of the week, and vice versa. If you're a horrendous putter, but you're putting everything to 3 feet when you miss greens, you're probably still going to be fine. So it's not that big of a deal. So we can try to figure it out that way. We know Neiman sucks around the greens, and his approach has been weak over the past 50 rounds. However, very good on these longer approaches. Let's shrink this sample size down to see who's trending a bit better lately. Past 24 rounds, if we shrink down the sample size with this and see who has been a bit more fire, hot fire, maybe Dylan Fratelli. Hot fire Dylan has been a little bit better. Zalatoris is still 4th in over 200 proximity, so a different set of names. Sungjae Ram McNeely is now up there. California guy, bigger greens though. You like him at smaller greens, but bigger greens. Zalatoris, Champ, wake up, Champ. It'd be nice for people's lineups if Champ would wake up. Palmer, Thomas, Hovland, Hideki, Varner, Finau, Stanley, good God, Stanley, cross him off. Straka, Neiman, Morikawa, Casey are all up there. If we go to 175, Hoagie is up there. Hoagie is top 20 in both 175 and 200 and top 40 and 150. Approach play across the board. He's number 1 in strokes gained approach over the past 24 rounds. But as you can see, Eric Van Rooyen, 2nd, List, Molinari, Munoz, Finau still up there. The Knights, Hussein Smith, number 7. Bad go of it. I used him in DraftKings lineups in Phoenix. Not great, Bob. Mito, Rom, Connors, Jack Ken Lee only has 8 weighted rounds. He won the Genesis Open. I think that's what it's called, or the Genesis Championship on the Korean Tour last year. That's how he is qualified for this field, if you were wondering. Doc Redmond won the 2017 US Am at this course. He's starting to play a little bit better golf. Not great golf, mind you, but a little bit better golf. Let's see here. Yeah, he was 25th at Farmers, 33rd at Pebble Beach. He's going to be like $6,200 this week. Maybe if the guy could chip a little bit, it would be nice. Where have you been at the Genesis? 0 for 1 in his career, although he did chip well a year ago because he didn't hit any greens through 2 rounds, it looks like. Not great. Who else do we have up here? Let's see. Around the green game overall, Sungjae, List, Matt Jones. Matt Jones popped up inside the top 10. Bobby Mack, although we're not getting any of his European data in here. I'm going to let Bobby Mack. Let's see. Let's write you down. Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre, EVR, Matt Wallace. Those are looking like 3 guys off the beaten path. Obviously, I'm going to be in love with Thomas Peters. That's no stunner. But Kevin Na is an interesting one. I feel like he's been really hit or miss. Longer courses are not generally where you want Kevin Na. He tends to stay in his lane a lot, but he has a 2nd, he has a 4th, he has a 3rd, he has a 10th. He can really get it rolling on these greens. We know how good he is from greenside. He's only ever lost strokes around the green once in his career at this course, and that's he plays it every single year. He's played it every year since 2010. He makes the cut more times than not. Very bad off the tee for this course, although I feel like his driving has been a little bit better. Yeah, when he's not in this like -2 range, like that's bad. But when he's -0.6, +0.4, -0.6, 2.4, that's pretty good. That's a short course at the Wyndham, though. You really kind of have to parse out how well he drives at longer courses versus shorter courses. But at the same time, he's played Augusta National really well over the years. If you look at the Masters, especially the past 2 years, 12th and 13th, I have no problem with Kevin Na, and obviously he's in pretty good form coming in. Hasn't putted yet so far in 2022. That's eventually going to change because we know that Kevin Na is one of the most elite putters once he gets it going. Kevin Na You're going on the short list here too. I'm hoping to win one of these $4,444 qualifiers. I'm one of two teams with the 6 of 6 in my qualifier, so I'm really in like a head-to-head against one of these guys. Hopefully Bubba can come through for me and just pile up a ton of equals or something like that, or JT Poston wins. If JT Poston wins in Phoenix, I'm going to win a lot of fucking money this week. It's going to be fantastic. So go JT. I don't expect that, so I'm not getting my hopes up for that. But if you can finish inside the top 10 or top 5, that would be tremendous news for myself. So Kevin Knott, Thomas Peters as that like mid-tier potential plays, Bobby Mack, EVR, and Matt Wallace as potential sleepers going down the list. I think that Gooch will be overpriced coming into the week because he almost always is. But that's another one that you can look at. Driving distance in the field, Haggy, Cam Young. Cam Young having a decent week in Phoenix too. I'll write down Cam Young. Cam Young. Young Cam. Rory, Vegas, Champ, List, Rom, Wyndham Clark, who had a top 10 at Riviera a year ago. McCumber, Bo Hostler. I mean, Hostler? Hostler's playing better golf. Obviously, he was able to do it. Patrick Rogers is up there as well. Throw P. Raj onto the sleeper list. We'll discern these better on Monday and Tuesday show, obviously, but I just want to make sure that these guys are on my radar and I write them down because I forgot to write down KH Lee. Everyone bet him as first round leader and won based on my suggestion. I forgot to bet him. Like a complete jamoke, but hey, I'm glad you all won. No, I mean, I wish I won, but if I can't win, but you guys win, then it makes me feel better. Put it that way. Patrick Rogers, yeah, I mean, you know what you're getting with Patrick Rogers. Hopefully he can chip and putt and drive the ball 400 yards. Beautiful. Bo Hostler missed the cut at Farmers, a longer course, missed it Sony third based on putting. He played pretty well, honestly, and rebounded quite nicely on the back 9 Sunday at Pebble Beach after a really horrific start where I think he drove it into the sand off the tee like in 6 consecutive holes, yet somehow battled his way through it, had made a double bogey and a bogey in back-to-back holes, but rallied for a T3 there. The distance isn't going to be a problem for him this week. Okay, what I want to do now is scroll back to Phoenix and take a look at guys who missed the cut, because obviously I'm not going to have the full scope of guys who made the cut this time around because the tournament is not over yet. But I do know the guys who missed the cut, so we can take a look at them and take a look at strokes gained total. And now we can just kind of go through and see who had a good ball striking week, yet didn't end up playing the weekend. Fowler, bad off the tee, good on approach, couldn't putt. So maybe Fowler, Luke Donald, approach every week for Luke Donald. He could just do anything else. Luke Donald in one of these like really crummy events in like May or June is going to pop at some point if he ends up with this approach, whether it be like Byron Nelson, or I guess they're not going back to Palmetto, but I think he actually did well there last year too. But where like these scrub fields are going to be. Graham McDowell actually played really well off the tee, drove it into the water. Did he drive it into the water? Or did he like come up short of the water, then go into the water on 17? That's how he ended up missing the cut, by the way. Andrew Putnam actually continued to play well, drove it very poorly. Varner chipped and approach was fantastic. Horrendous driving. Sam Burns, the approach, immaculate. The driving bad. The putting bad. Putting and driving, not usually a weakness for Sam Burns. Nice to see his irons are still firing. T. Dunks and Neesmith drove it really well. Couldn't really do much of anything else. And that's kind of it. Let's see if we just go by round 2 and take a look at this now of guys who made the cut, who may have had a much better go of it. Finau, stroke and a half off the tee, stroke and a half on approach, 3 strokes gained ball striking in the second round, rallied, couldn't quite get to the cut, but we know that he plays Riviera really well. It is so encouraging to see a round like this from Tony Finau overall. Let's just take a look here. Let's go back to Genesis Field. Oh, it's loading in my model. That's why it's taking a little bit of time. And when we go back and look at past 24 rounds at Tony Finau, to see the last time he actually had a round that good. Obviously, that won't come in until... Still rates out 24th over the past 24 rounds. You can see, even at Farmers, the ball striking 0.2. So rounds 3 and 4 at the Amex were really good for him in terms of ball striking. So really, it was round 1 at the Farmers, round 2 at the Farmers wasn't very good, and he missed the cut. Round 1 in Phoenix, although he seems to have harnessed this back again, where if he wants to be around 1.7, over 2 most definitely, over 2.5 would be fantastic for Tony Finau. The driving distance is going to be up. The proximity on these longer approaches is going to be up. Putting was really bad, but we can figure that out as time goes along. And he's played really well around the greens historically at Riviera. At least in my mind, he has done that. Let's go see if the numbers actually tell me that. Yes, 1.6 gained last year, 2.5 the year before that. Second, 51st, 15th, and second the past 4 years for Tony Finau. Like I said, I'm very interested in how the market reacts to Tony Finau this week. Listen, if he's going to be chalky at a cheap price, probably not going to go there. If he's a bit priced up and we get him again at like 7, 8, 9%, Tony Finau along with Dustin Johnson. That's how I'm starting my teams. DJ and Tony Finau, because I just don't think that's going to be a very popular mold. Also, Matthew Fitzpatrick on a course like this, I think is going to be very overlooked, but he plays long, hard, fast courses really well. We've seen it at Memorial. The harder Memorial gets, the better he plays. API, same thing for Matthew Fitzpatrick. I have no idea how he has played at this tournament over the years, but we can take a look. That's what Fantasy National is here for, 30th and 5th. So there he is. We know that he's getting better around the greens, on the greens, and those long approaches have always been good for him. Where the hell did I hide that now? There's the leaderboard. So back to round 2 at the Amex, or at the WM Phoenix Open, of guys who missed the cut. So we just found Finau. Had a very good round 2 in terms of ball striking. Brennan Steele, another one who had a really good one. Who else is up there? No one really. It's why they ended up missing the cut. Here's one. Cameron Davis, 1.4 strokes gained ball striking. Still lost on approach, but gained so many with his driver. Putted okay, lost around the greens. That's not bad. Wyndham Clark, very good tee to green. Had a poor putting performance. Played himself out of the game on Thursday. But this is the type of guy. He came T10 last year. Wyndham Clark, first round leader. I'm going to write that down right now. I know that he's been popular the past few weeks, but this is him being popular and burning someone. And then people want to jump off. Let's see. Yeah, good around the green play for Matt Wallace. Really bad for Matt Wallace, though. Ooh. Went in the water a ton. Minus 5.2 off the tee. Ooh. That's not great there, Matt. You want to figure that out if you're going to be any better. 1 for Pat Perez. Played a little bit better. -1. In the second round, CH3. That was putting, sorry. That was putting, and same as Roger Sloan. So yeah, this range right here, Steele, Clark, Finau, both pretty good. Molinari ended up rallying to make the cut. Now that's all going away. So that'd be the range that I would be looking at this week for the Genesis Invitational. It's time to guess the odds for what this is going to be. This is a really difficult one because course history is going to matter at this tournament. When we factor in the odds, we've seen some guys who haven't played as much. Like Colin Morikawa is the number 2 player in the world. Will he be second in odds? I don't think so, especially after his performance here last year, which once again was minus 7.6 strokes lost on the green. Second in approach at Riviera. I'm going to be betting Morikawa. If we get anything better than 16, anything better than 20 is an auto, but maybe he's out of sight, out of mind because you have Rahm. And a lot of this could be dictated as well by what happens in Phoenix. If the final leaderboard in Phoenix is like Brooks, Xander, Cantlay, Scheffler, then all those guys are going to get a huge bump at Riviera, and it's going to push down the Hovlands, the Morikawas, Rorys, that type of thing. So we have Rahm, DJ, Vic, Thomas, Morikawa, Hideki. Jeez, it's a good field. Rory. I can't believe Cam Smith is number 9 player in the world. Either way, Xander, Cam Smith, who has a good course history here, so he's going to be up in terms of all that. Name value-wise, I guess it depends on how Spieth finishes. So let's just take those guys. And if Brooks wins, Brooks will be back into this conversation as well. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys to start off. And that's before, and then Cantlay is going to be up there as well. So those are the top 10 players in the world who are in this field, plus Brooks. And then you might get a bump from Finau or Bubba. Some of the guys who played really well. If someone surprising ends up winning in Phoenix, they might be up there as well. So we're going to go with Rahm. And Rahm, let's say, this is too good of a field. I'm going to say 8-1 for him. Justin Thomas, 12-1. Dustin Johnson. Now, is Dustin really going to be up there? Xander, I'm going to say, is 22 unless he wins. Then he'll be like 13. Vic misses the cut, but he's been super popular. We'll put Vic at 18. Hideki's just been playing pretty well overall. He was 18 to close in Phoenix in a weaker field at a place where he's won twice, so expect him to be down. Hideki, 25. Cam Smith, 25. If Brooks wins, he's going to be like 20. If Brooks loses, he's going to be like 28. Cantlay is going to be like 16-1 based on his current run and past history at this course. DJ and Rory and Morikawa are the three that I don't really know. If you catch a sliding number on any one of those three, it's an auto bet. In my mind, if you catch any of them above 20, I don't know. It'd be hard to think that you're going to have that many guys below 20-1, but I'll say DJ at 18, Morikawa at 18, Rory at 18, just to hedge my bet. So Rahm, Thomas, Cantlay, DJ, Vic, Rory, Morikawa. And then you have Xander, Smith and Brooks, Hideki, all sort of in that mix. Then you'll get like bad odds on Bubba because he's won here 3 times, especially if he closes strong in Phoenix. He'll be like 35-1, or he'll open at 50, and then immediately when everyone bets him, he'll go to 30, that kind of thing. And plus you have your Sam Burns in the field, and just a lot of really good players, but it's hard for them to be priced up too much. Zalatoris is going to be an interesting one. If they hang, would he open at 50? I mean, it's a pretty strong field coming off of COVID. I'm going to guess 40 for Zalatoris as the open. Anything above that, I'm in. I'm building my card already. I want to talk this through with Jeff on Monday's show, so go subscribe to that. Play in the Listeners League. The link is down in the description. Sub to the newsletter for more research on this, and check out my column up on DK Nation on Monday morning. And tune back into the show. Rate, review, subscribe, smash a like, all that jazz. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had a profitable Phoenix. I hope you have a profitable Super Bowl. And we're into the best tournament so far in 2022, the Genesis Invitational. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!